Let's go ahead and finish up example 4 on page 3 of lesson 4. We had just done the domain. And remember, domain is left to right. So left, the smallest value was -7 because it's a solid circle. We put a bracket, and then going right, the rightmost value on the graph was 6. But because it's an open circle, we need to put parentheses. Now range, remember, as we have written above, is bottom to top. And a lot of students want to stop on this point, but it's not the bottom point and it's not the top point. So ignore it. We're only looking at the lowest point and the highest point. So remember, now we're looking at the y-axis, not the x. So what is the lowest value on the y-axis? It is -7, correct? And we can count here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So -7 is the lowest value. And it's a, whoops, forgot the negative. And it is a bracket because it's a solid point. And the highest value on the y-axis is 3. It is also a solid point, so it will get a bracket as well. So lowest y, -7, highest y, +3. So bottom to top. And we don't look at any points in between because this means the interval, every single number from -7 up to 3. X-intercept, where does the graph cross the x-axis? So here's the x-axis, and I can see it crosses in 2 points. So sometimes there's going to be 2 x-intercepts. So the first one, and remember, x-intercept means make y 0. So we can put 2 points here with 0. So the first place it crosses the x-axis is at 0, 0. Following along, the second place looks about 4.5. Kind of hard to tell here. Let's zoom and see. Yep, looks like 4.5 when I zoom in. So 4.5, 0 will be the second x-intercept. The y-intercept, here's the y-axis. I can see this graph only crosses it one place, and that's at 0, 0. So remember, when you see intercepts, that means where does the graph cross the x-axis? Where does the graph cross the y-axis? So x-axis, 2 points, y-axis, just 1. Okay, the next page is going to be a big review, more review of everything that we have learned in this lesson. So go ahead and turn over to page 4. So this is our function review, a little bit of everything. So remember what this means. When x is -1, what is y? So I'm inputting a negative value. So that means everywhere I input it, it needs to be enclosed in parentheses. And notice there's 2 places to input it, here and here. So -1 squared -3 parentheses -1 plus 7. And at this point, that's your work. You can go ahead and just plug it in the calculator. I'm going to work it out by hand, and then I'll show you how to do it in the calculator. So -1 times -1 is 1. -3 times -1 is +3. positive 7. So 10 plus 1's 11. And you know what? I just remembered two things. Remember how it told us on page 3 to write the order pairs? We forgot to do that on these two. So let's go ahead and write the order pairs that go with these. So turn back to page 3 real quick. I just saw the directions on this one and it made me think. So X is 1, Y is 1, X is 4, Y is 1. And then you can check, is 1, 1 on the graph? Yes. Is 4, 1 on the graph? Yes. And then this order pair would be X is 3, Y is 3. So is the 0.33 on the graph? Yes. So I just realized we forgot to do those. Sorry. That's my ADD brain going wild. Okay. And the reason I thought of it is because I just read these directions. Then write the corresponding order pairs. So this would be negative 1, 11. So if it just said find the function value or find the following, you would stop there. That would be your answer. But then this one also wanted the order pairs, so that means we have two answers. This is the function value. This is the order pair. X, Y. So X is the input, what you put in. Y is the output or the answer. And now let's go ahead and I'll show you how to do this on your calculator. So when we're plugging this in, we plug it in exactly why we see it, how we see it. And that's why you need to make sure you write it correctly, because if you leave the parentheses off, guess what? The calculator will give you the wrong answer. It knows the difference between when you need parentheses and when you don't. So anytime the X is negative, it must be in parentheses. So let's go ahead and type that in parentheses, then go down to your negative key, negative 1, close your parentheses, hit your X squared button, and then this next one is a subtraction sign. That's the only subtraction sign in the whole problem. So minus 3, and then it's parentheses, negative 1, close, and then plus 7. Hit enter, ding, 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 same answer we got. So as long as you write this step, that's your work step. That's what I would want to see. And then if you want to do it by hand, fine, or do it by calculator, fine. But I just need to see this step. Okay, let's go ahead and do the next one. This says when X is 2, find Y. So this one's a positive, so I don't need to have parentheses. So I can just write 2 squared minus 3 times 2 plus 7. So everywhere I saw an X, I plugged in 2. 2 squared minus 3 times 2 plus 7. So f of 2 is 4 minus 6 plus 7. So negative 2 plus 7 would be 5. And then write the order pair. And remember, both of these are our answer for this problem because it asked for both. It said find the following, then write an order pair. So that means they want to see both. So checking it on the calculator, I guess we'll put it over here. We would type in 2, hit your X squared button, minus 3 times 2. So minus 3 times 2 plus 7. So that's what your screen should look like. Notice it looks identical to what we have here. Hit enter. Boom. Same answer we got. Okay, so that's called evaluating a function or finding the function value. Okay, next, this is what we learned on the front page or on the last page of lesson 3, writing the domain and range. This one, these two are from this lesson. This is from the last lesson. So this one, I can name every element of the domain. So I use this and write -3, -1, 0, 2. So remember doing that on the back page of the last packet? So when I can name the x values, I just write them down. Range, same thing, 2, 0, -4, 3. Now on these two, I can't name every x because there's an infinite number of x values between these two, like -2.3, -2.2, -2.1111. So there's a million values, a trillion, an infinite number of values. So when I have graphs, I have to switch over to the interval notation that we've been practicing on. So domain, remember, is left to right, if you want to write that there to remind you. So you roll your pencil and you say, what is the leftmost x value? So look on the x-axis, and that is -3. It's an open circle, though, so that means I need a parenthesis. So -3, roll your pencil right. What's the largest y value? 1, 2, 3, 4, it looks like, right? And it's a bracket. So the largest x value, not y, x value is 4 with a bracket. So -3 all the way over to 4. That's the extent of the x's, left to right. Now we have to do the range. Range, remember, is bottom to top. So we roll our pencil, and we're only looking at the y-axis now. So what's the lowest y? -1, solid, so that would be a bracket. And the highest y value is 2 with a parenthesis because it's an open circle. So the highest y we see is 2 with a parenthesis. So look at the difference between how we name the domain and range here, domain and range here. Here we only had 1, 2, 3, 4 points, so we could name all the x's, all the y's. Here we have millions of points between those two, all the decimals and fractions. So we can't name them all, so then we use an interval, left to right, bottom y to top y. Okay, now's a good time to shut off the video and try C on your own before you check it with mine. Okay, for C, I'm looking from left to right, and arrows play a big part on this. This means that parabola just keeps going left forever and just keeps going right forever. So that domain would be -infinity to +infinity because it goes left and right forever. Range, not so. Look at all these y values that aren't taken up, so we have to roll our pencil. So the lowest y value is -3. It's not an open circle, so we can assume it's a point on the graph, so we use the bracket. Remember, open circles get a parenthesis, and so do infinities, but that's it. If it's an actual point on the graph, it gets a bracket. And what's the highest value? Boom, it goes up forever. That's what the arrows are telling us, keep going up. So that would be infinity. Okay, next we're going to review what we did on the last page. We're going to read a graph, and this one also says to write the corresponding order pairs. I wish I had you guys to yell at me if I forget them again. On this one, whenever the graph goes down to the bottom, you can assume that means it keeps going on forever. So let's go ahead and put those. I used a picture from a computer and they didn't have the arrows in it, but we can assume when it goes all the way down to the bottom of the graph, that means it keeps on going forever. So put those in to help us. So first they want us to find when x is 0.